Hi everyone, I'm Donna Rutherford. I'm just going to take you through very quickly the new Ancestry DNA match list that's rolling out. I'm going to touch a little bit on Pro Tools as well, which is something different, but that is coming soon for the UK. And it is Friday, the 31st of May, 2024. And the reason I'm giving you today's date is because it's really important. This is a beta version of the match list we're seeing rolling out. Not everyone has it, but beta by definition means that things could change. So there could be glitches fixed, ironed out, new little things tweaked and so on. So if you're watching this and it's the 31st of May 2025, the match list might look quite different. So a disclaimer, this is not official Ancestry information. I do not work for Ancestry. I'm not affiliated with them in any way. I'm Donna Rutherford. I'm a New Zealand genetic genealogist. I'm based in London, and I specialise in tricky unknown parentage cases. So things like foundlings, unknown parents, unknown grandparents, unknown great-grandparents, people who have surprise results. So MPEs, when people have tested and found their father isn't their father, for example. I run a Facebook group, so many of you watching this probably have come to this through there, called DNA Help for Genealogy UK, and I'll mention that again at the end of the talk. I also write for several magazines. I've co-authored some papers on genetic genealogy. I run some Y-DNA projects at Family Tree DNA, and I present at various international conferences such as Roots Tech, Back to Our Past, that used to happen in Ireland, Family History Down Under in Australia, and many other family history societies, the Family History Show, various bespoke talks for other groups as well. I'm just going to adjust my camera. It's quite a dynamic talk. I haven't really practiced it. I'm just wanting to get you some information out there. So this is what the new match list looks like. So over here, you can see, I will move myself back here. You can see the most interesting change for people is that we now have squares instead of dots. So instead of coloured dots, we've got coloured squares, and the colours look quite different. So I'm going to take you through what those colours are, what it all means. I'm going to take you through all the different buttons, what they all look like, how the match list is set up, and so on. So first of all, where are the new things? Well, there's more filters here. There's some different buttons over here. And of course, the coloured dots look different. We're going to start looking at the squares because I think that's what people are kind of interested in. Now you can see that all my coloured dots have all been converted to coloured squares, and there's a character in them. I'm going to explain that. So you haven't lost anything. If you've got groups set up, none of them will be lost. So we can click here at the button where it says +9, but we can click on any of these what were coloured dots, now coloured squares, click on them, and that will take us through to a little flyout here with everything seems to kind of fly out on the right of the page now. And you can see here's all my groups. There's still 24 groups. They're now squares, not dots. The colours have all changed, and the squares have got a character in them. So what does it all mean? Let's have a look at one. Let's have a look at my new group, and we'll click on the edit button and edit this group and see how we can now change the colors, change the different squares, and how we put this character in. So here's my new group. At the moment, it's got a duck in the square. So the group name is actually the very first character of your group name, but you can use emojis as well. So that's what I've done here. I've got a duck. But you can use ones, twos, A's, B's, whatever you want, or emojis to set up that will show in your coloured square on the match page. There are now, you can count here, there's 32, so I've got 8 across, 4 down, that's 32 coloured squares. But here's the big but. You can currently still only create 24 groups. So you've got 32 colours to play with, but you can still only create 24 groups. Now, coming is Pro Tools, and Pro Tools subscribers, when the DNA parts of Pro Tools roll out, are going to have the ability to use all 32 and actually create 64 groups. Now, I'll mention that again at the end when we get to Pro Tools. Again, this new match list layout has nothing to do with Pro Tools. It is going to roll out to everyone. I've just been lucky enough, I guess lucky enough to be one of the randomly selected people who got it when they take a random selection of the user base to roll out at the first small beta. And usually it's not too long after that that everyone gets it. So it is coming to you. So here I want to maybe put something different instead of a duck in front of my new group. So we'll click here, we'll click into this box and we can create the new group. So I do quite like emojis and I think they're quite fun to have in the group squares. And you can see my duck looks quite handsome there in his little green square. If you're on a little tip for you, if you're on a Windows PC and you want to use emojis, you can get the emoji keyboard up by pressing the Windows button and then the full stop or the period button on your keyboard. And Windows first, then the full stop, an emoji screen will come up and you can choose the emoji you want. This is what it looks like when you push those on your keyboard. And here, the little emoji keyboards come up and I can choose here, maybe I want to change my duck to a smiley face. And here's some of the emojis I've been using at work and in other places. I don't know why I've got a kangaroo there because I'm definitely a New Zealander and not an Australian. So I can choose the smiley face and then I can choose one of the 32 colours, I can choose one for my new group. And here I've chosen the red square and I've put my smiley face in and now I've got my new group that I can assign to my matches. And here he is. This is now my new group and I've assigned it to this match and here's the new square sitting on my match page, on the match list page. So groups can use the same squares. You can see here I've got a smiley face and the number 1. Let me mute my phone so that doesn't interrupt me again. As I said, this is quite dynamic, doing a very quick talk. No practicing. So you can see here I've got 2 red squares. So I can use the colors again and use a different character in them by naming my group. Whatever the first character is in my group, that's going to be here. So I actually used to, with my colored dots, I labeled them 0, 1 through to 16, and they were my 16 great-great-grandparents, so they all had the names of those couples. And of course, because all my groups are named 0, 1 or 0, 6 or 10 or 12 or whatever, I've got 0s and 1s in all my coloured squares when I got my new match page. It looks lovely, all very binary if you're into computer things, but I think it's nicer to maybe think about putting a letter or an emoji or something else in there instead, but it's entirely up to you. And this is what progress is all about. We get something new and we might be able to think about a better way to maybe group our matches. And now's a good time to start thinking about how you could use these to really benefit being able to see things quickly on your match page. So groups can use the same square again with a different name. So here's the smiley face group and they're both red. But again, just remember you can still only have 24 groups. So do remember that you're only going to be able to have 24 groups, even though we've got 32 colours. The star is still available, so you can still star your matches. It's now a blue square with a nice little gold star in it. So it does stick out quite nicely in amongst the other colour coding that you're using on your match. And you can see here when you call up to go and edit your groups, you can see that the match here doesn't have an edit pencil next to it. So you can't edit what it's called and you can't edit its colour. But there it is in the starred matches. And you can add or subtract that particular icon off your match. So I might not want to star this anymore. So I can just push the minus sign and it will no longer be a starred match. Same as you do now, really, just you untick the box. And again, I'm going to mention it a few times. If you've used all your 24 groups, you're going to see this message. You've got 32 squares, you can only have 24 groups. So if you've used them all, every time you go and create a new group, you're going to have this come up. So I have tried deleting a couple of mine to see if I could create a new one. And I did have a few problems with that. But again, that might be something that's just been ironed out or a bit of a glitch with the beta. So just remember, limit of 24. You can choose from your 32 colors, and you can use an emoji, an alphanumeric in the first letter, so that very first spot in the group name, and that's what you'll see on your match list. Now there's some new buttons here. So again, there's a lot of things you can now do from the match list without opening up the match page. So here you've got a new add button, and there's 3 things that you can add here right from the match list. So you can add or edit the relationship. You can add or edit the group they're in. That's what we've just looked at, is being able to plus or minus from the groups and change and edit your groups all from this button. Or from just clicking on the groups. So we've done that one, and you can add and edit a note. Now, I'm going to talk to you about the adding relationships later on, because there's been some changes in the way Ancestry are predicting relationships. So I want to take you through that. So we'll save that to a bit further on. But here, if we want to add a note, we can just add it from the match list page. We don't have to go into the match, and we go click that to add a note. And again, the little fly out comes out. So as I said, it seems a lot of these things kind of fly out to the right of the screen. And that might be different depending upon whether you're using a device. I know some people use phones. I don't know how you do that, by the way. Some people will use laptops. So it might look a bit different. So your experience might be different depending upon the device you're using. So I'm using a Windows machine, and I have got a Chrome browser. But I do use the match list on my iPad, and it seems to be working quite well on my iPad as well. So here we go. We've used the, let's just go back. We click on the add button, we click add or edit a note. And here I add a note. This is a note. And here it is on my match list. It's just here underneath the little picture. So that will show under there. Quite easy. Don't have to go into the match. All done from the add button. Now, further over from the add button, we've got 3 little dots on the match list page as well. And there's 2 things behind this. We can either message the match exactly from straight away from here without going into the match. We can message them from the match list itself. Now, it's just grayed out because this is my son and he's on my account, and so I can't message him, of course, but it would be in bold for most of your matches. And you can hide a match from here as well. Be careful not to inadvertently hide matches here. You think you're going to message someone and you hide them instead. That could be a bit confusing, right? So just be a little bit careful when you click here that you don't inadvertently click hide match. You can find them later through the filters. You'll see that when we get to filters, how to go and find your hidden matches. Now, something else on the match page that you used to have that isn't really there anymore. Where you saw public link tree and the common ancestor, you used to be able to click on these. These were links and they would take you straight to the match page. They're no longer links, they're just static text on the match list page. Now, I don't know whether they've removed that because that might make the refreshing of the match list a bit quicker without having the links there. I don't really know. But the way to get in the match is to just click on their name, and that will go through the match list. But you can't do it by clicking here. Now, I didn't think I did it much, but muscle memory, every so often I've gone and done that. Go, oh yeah, that doesn't go anywhere anymore. So this is no longer a link. Now, we click on the name to go actually into the match. And look, nothing here has changed. So when you actually go into the match page, it looks exactly as it always looked. And look, here's all my colored dots are back. So I don't know when this is going to change. I suspect that somewhere along the line, once we click our match, we're going to see the squares here and not the colored dots. But as of Friday, the 31st of May, 2024, the match page still looks exactly as it did. So nothing changed here. You can go in and see your coloured dots. So, you know, if you kind of want to do that and you've got the beta at the moment, you can go and get your coloured dots from here. Now, before we get to the relationships, we are getting there about how we predict relationships now. We'll just have a look at the rest of the page, the top and bottom of the page. So this is the old view below. So the top of your match list always looked like this. And again, it would look different on different devices. If it's a bit more squashed up, the buttons kind of will all fold up and it would look a bit different. But on a big screen, on a Windows PC, this is what the old match looked like. This is what the new match looks like here. Match list looks like here at the top. So you can see it actually looks a lot smarter. and it's a lot more easier probably to find things. You haven't got so many buttons. Is it this button or that button? All your filters now are under the More Filters button. All this top is the same, all your matches by parent, by ancestry, by location. Do note that when you get the beta, you will see this. You can see all your matches, but it is in beta, meaning it's still rolling out and there's still glitches to iron out and things to fix. So you'll see that when you get the new match list. You'll notice that your unviewed no longer has a little coloured dot on it, and we'll talk about the unviewed in a minute. So at the top, we can click unviewed just as we did before. It doesn't have the little blue dot here. Now, this is what it used to look like down the right-hand side. We had a blue dot under the profile picture. Now we've got a little green dot at the top of the profile picture. I don't know what the reason is for the change, but that's what the change is. And it actually looks like that profile picture has actually changed. The chap is now wearing a white t-shirt by the looks of things. So there you go. So a couple of changes there with the unviewed. Now, the next one across is the Common Ancestors filter, and absolutely no change here. If you click that, you'll get all your matches you've got a common ancestor with, so no change there. The More Filters. Now, this has everything under it now. So anything you want to filter for, you just go to my More Filters. You can filter your DNA matches by these things. That's where you find your hidden matches, by the way. So you come under them filters and you'll find your hidden matches here. You can filter various things under trees, shared DNA groups, and parental sides. So pretty much what you're used to, but it's just all nicely underneath the More Filters here. But do note one big change at the moment. There's no match numbers here. So remember, you used to be able to open up your filters and you'd see your shared matches, and it would have how many fourths and closer you've got and so on. There's no numbers next to any of the filters now. That might change, I don't know, but it was nice to be able to see those numbers there. And here we go, where you can see the numbers. So if we look at the old filter for shared DNA here in the orange box, you can see that all matches, I had 21,000, close false or cousin, I had 549. Now, when I look under the shared DNA filter now, I just see all matches, close matches. There's no numbers here anymore. So I'm not seeing those. Is that going to come back? I don't know. Well, let's just wait and see. But at the moment, they are missing. The other thing that's missing is the new matches filter. That's not there anymore. So you can't go and click on new matches and just see all your new matches. Usually when I'm looking for new matches, I just try and sort them, and I would go into the filter where I could limit them to the centimorgan amounts I wanted to see, because I wasn't really all that concerned if I got a load of new 8 centimorgan matches. Now let's go to the bottom of the page. So we've done the top of the page and what is different there. And there's some changes down the bottom of the page. Now, instead of a rolling list now, so, you can go to your match page and it just keeps rolling, and you just page down. We've gone back to having pages, and we can stipulate 20 matches per page or 50 matches per page. When we first did DNA tests back in about 2017, that's the way it was set up. They were pages and you could just page through your matches. Then we went to a rolling list. Now we've gone back to pages. The other really important thing at the bottom of the page is submit feedback. Now, I urge everybody, when you get the beta, have a look through it. By the time you've got it, if you don't have it now, there might be some changes from what I'm talking about here. I don't know. But anything you don't like, submit that feedback to Ancestry. There's no point telling people in Facebook groups, phoning a friend. None of that is going to make any difference. Ancestry need to know about the things that don't work for you. And that's the whole point of having a beta with a small user group and then a larger user group, to actually figure out what is working for their users. I know they listen to feedback and they do make changes. So please make use of that submit feedback link. So here, sorry, this is a bit of a messy slide, but if we just work down it, you can see now that the items per page defaults to 20 or 50. It defaults to 20, but you can change it to 50. You can only step ahead one page at a time. Now that can be a pain if you know you kind of want to get to page 10 quickly. Here's a little tip for you. If you go up to the browser So when you're on the web on a browser page, and it will show me I'm on current page 1 and I've got 50 items per page. I can go and change this in my browser. So if I change 1 to 65 and then hit enter, I'll immediately go to page 65 in my match list. And similarly, to get back to page 1, I can just go and change that back to 1. I'll end up back at page 1. I suspect they might put page number box at the bottom of the page again, like they used to have, but it's not there at the moment. You can only page one page at a time through that. There's no sort of fast forward button, so you can't zoom through your matches. So in the meantime, you can go where you want to go by changing your browser. So just a little tip. Now let's get to relationship predictions. And this is one area that Ancestry have made quite a few changes. Now, for starters, they have definitely not changed the centimorgan amount. So here's the old look at the top, the new look at the bottom. You see this is the old look. I've got my old coloured dots. They're already starting to look a bit old to me, to be honest. I'm so used to seeing all my new squares. So you can see this in my second cousin. I know my second cousin. She shares 179 centimorgans with me. You can see that's not changed, same amount. So great. Maternal side here. I had actually had to change it to maternal side, I think, before, but it's showing maternal side here. And there is no link here now. So remember, we used to be able to click on the centimorgan amount and we've got a table up with all the possible relationships that 179 centimorgans could be. We don't have that anymore. The only link we have here is the actual relationship. Now I've changed it, I've confirmed it as second cousin. If it's, you'll see some further on, but if you don't know who it is, it will just have a range of relationships in here to click on. So this is the old way. So this is what it used to look like. Remember, we'd click on the centimorgan amount and here you'd see I'd have how did the percentages estimated, 60% here, and top of the table would be second cousin. That was what I knew her as anyway. So you could see that was looking pretty good. This is now all changed. So we don't get this little table anymore. We get a couple of other tables that I'm going to show you. And this is probably the biggest change where sorry, I've repeated the we there, but this is the biggest change we're seeing at Ancestry at the moment. Now, I know that you look at your match list and you see those coloured squares and you think, wow, that's a big change. But actually, some of this relationship prediction in the background is one of the biggest changes we've probably seen in this rollout. So it is worth having a quick look through it and starting to understand why it's different. So now, and I'm sorry, it's really messy because when it opens up, you click on this on the relationships. I clicked on second cousin, and it just kind of got all these. You've got to arrow down to get through it. So I've tried to just make a screenshot here of both tables, but you would only see one at a time, and you click the little arrow to open up the next one. Now, the top table, this is where this is quite different here. We're predicting that these relationships are most likely. To predict relationships, we factor in self-reported ages and genders of both people. Now, this is really new. Ancestry have never used gender and ages before in their predictions. So this top part here, you can see using self-reported ages. So I know I've put in my real age Ancestry, and so is I think my match has. I don't actually know how old she is, but I guess her self-reported age and my age has predicted that we are likely second cousins. That is top of the list. But then when we open up the frequency of relationships, which is a table that looks a little bit like it was before, but look how different it is. Before, remember, let's go back and have a look. 60%, so on the top was my second cousin. Now when I look at the frequency of relationships, I'm seeing second cousin in the second box down, 33.72%. Now, I don't know what is really going on behind here. We're really waiting for Ancestry to release some more details. Preferably a white paper would be brilliant, so we know how they're doing this and what they're using to work this out. A frequently asked questions document would be brilliant, a blog, anything. We're waiting for more news on this, and that will give us some better insight on how this table is being created. We think it's possible, a few of us have talked about it, it might be possible that they're using some self-reported relationship data and they're using that. So they're saying here the frequency of people who share 179 centimorgans more likely to be a half second cousin than a second cousin, although we've predicted up here that it's most likely I'm a second cousin. So it's a little bit confusing and a little bit more complex than it used to be. And I think it will be confusing for people for a while. So we're going to keep an eye on this with Ancestry and see what they bring out. But you can see here this looks kind of a little odd. There's also some relationships that aren't going to be available, like double cousins. And there's problems when we get into long generations. If you've got an uncle that is closer in age to you than your parent, then it's going to tell you they're more likely to be. I've got this with my uncles. I'm sorry, I don't have a slide on it, but my oldest uncle shows uncle and then half brother, because of course uncles and half brothers share the same amount of centimorgans, but they've clearly predicted he's an uncle, probably because of his age. But then I've got a couple of other uncles that are much closer in age to me than they are my parent, and those ones they're showing half brother at the top and then uncle underneath. So yeah, we need to be careful with these new predictions. Once we've decided what our relationship is, we can confirm that relationship. So as we're going through and evaluating it through all those tables, the bottom is a confirm relationship, and we can add it here. We can add the relationship in a different way. Remember, I said, I'm not going to tell you about relationships yet. We've done groups and then we added a note. Well, under the add button on the match list, you can also add your relationship right from there as well. So you don't have to go through all the tables. So we can confirm the relationship. And again, we've got a fly out over here, and it'll ask us to select which side of the family. This is my mother's side. I click next and we get a second fly out that gives us all the relationships. And here, of course, the second cousin is coming up at the top. So I can click second cousin and I'm away and confirm that relationship, and it will show second cousin on the list page. Now, beware small matches. So if I move ahead, I think I went to page 65 by putting 65 in the browser, and I got to some of my smaller matches. Of course, I could have used one of the filters and selected the centimorgans I wanted. I've got a 15 centimorgan. And you can see here that the predicted relationships are half third cousin once removed, third cousin twice removed. Now let's go back to our beloved shared CM project at DNA Painter. And if I put in 15 centimorgans, you can see that the probability here, the 60% in this box, we're getting quite distant relationships like sixth cousin, eighth cousin or more distant, fifth cousin, sixth cousin twice removed, and so on. But look what happens when I click on this under the new Ancestry predicted relationships. I'm getting half third cousin once removed, third cousin twice removed, fourth cousins, half third cousins. No option for distant matches here. Not a single option for anything more distant here than fourth cousin. Now, that's a bit of a problem because a 15 centimorgan match is not going to fit in one of these. It is more likely here to be a sixth cousin or more distant. And in the old pages, I used to be able to select distant relationships. So if I did work out this was a sixth cousin, 15 centimorgans is not good genetic evidence, but if I did work out there were six cousins, I just would have clicked distant relationship because it wouldn't have given me sixth cousin as an option. But unfortunately here I've got nothing more distant than fourth cousins. And if we look at the shared centimorgan project, fourth cousin is down here. So third cousin twice removed, half third cousin once removed, they're all further down here in the box. So this could be a bit of a problem. We don't really understand where this is coming from at the moment or what's happening with Ancestry. I do not want to be negative about this. It's always good to have progress, right? With progress, we learn, we do things differently, we find better ways of doing things. So it's all good. And this might be something that is just getting refined at the moment. So I think there's a bit of a bug here. You'll also note that this match is a weighted 15 centimorgans and it's unweighted 26 centimorgans. And I wonder if the predictions are currently working on the unweighted amount, whereas they really should be working on the weighted amount. And certainly when we're looking at the shared CM project at DNA Painter, we would put in the 15 centimorgans to predict the relationship. So this could be causing the problem because it does say here's how frequently people who share 26 centimore can have each relationship, and I think they should be using 15 here. So let's see what happens here. So we've got no option to choose distant match. We're certainly not going to be one of these relationships. I'm not quite sure how this is working. So again, I'm not trying to be negative about this, fully behind new things that roll out, but this just seems a little bit tricky at the moment. Something isn't quite right here, I don't think. So I hope this has helped. These are all the things that I've found in the beta. I want to remind you again, this is not official ancestry information. This is what I've just figured out with the help of some other genetic genealogy friends, with the help of my members in my Facebook group pointing things out. So I've tried to put it all together. So it's something for you to go and have a look at, to give you some ideas of what's coming. Please get in touch if you find something else or you've got some questions. So this is not official ancestry information, but also remember this is in beta. That means there could be some changes, fixes, bugs to iron out, who knows. A reminder again, it is Friday, the 31st of May, 2024. Tomorrow the match list might look different, or we don't know. There could be more things I haven't found as well, but I've tried to cover off the things that you're going to spot when you come and get your beta. So when it rolls out for you, you've kind of got a bit of a head start and you hit the ground running because you can work your way through what's going on by using this recording. Pro tools, I did say I would mention this. Now, just again, another disclaimer, that's not an official Ancestry advertisement you're looking at there. That's a Facebook post I put together to get the attention of people in my Facebook group, just to let them know that it is coming soon for people in the UK. So at the moment, if you're in UK, sure, you can go onto the .com site and purchase Pro Tools in US dollars. You might get stung for some currency exchange or your bank charging you for international transactions. And also you may end up getting charged more than you really think. So just be careful with that. I have had word from Ancestry. It is going to roll out in GBP and in other country currencies as well. So for the .com.au site, it will roll out in Australian dollars. At the moment, even though we don't have Pro Tools in anywhere outside of the US, there are no DNA tools for anybody. So even the US, they've got Pro Tools, they're not getting the DNA tools yet. They are coming though. And the tools that are going to be useful for DNA, if you're deciding whether you might want to take a Pro Tools subscription, at the moment, it's got tools for your family trees. So being able to search for locations, you get 7 generations on the fan chart and lots of other really useful things for family tree building, but no DNA tools yet. You are, when the DNA tools roll out, you're going to see how much DNA your matches share with each other. Now, this is a game changer for Ancestry matches, that we're going to be able to see that. So if that's something that's useful, I know several people have got genealogical puzzles that this is really going to help them with, and it will require you taking out the Pro Tools subscription to get that benefit. You will also be able to use more of the groups. You'll be able to use, you'll be able to use all those 32 colors and create up to 64 groups. And that's going to be available if you're a Pro Tools subscriber. Lots to wait for. I believe this is going to roll out in the US slightly before it rolls out in the UK. So that could be a bit frustrating. But Ancestry have told us they're going to try and roll this out as quick as they can. So they are working to try and get this out to all of us. So if I can do a bit of self-promotion before I finish the talk, I have coming out at the end of June and beginning of July, a series of 2 webinars making up Donna Rutherford's Guide to Genetic Genealogy. Now, the 2 webinars are going to be about, the first one is going to be about building expert research trees. So it's going to take you through some tips and techniques to really be able to do quick and dirty trees to figure out how your matches all fit together. Now, I can guarantee you there's going to be some things in there that you won't have heard anyone else talk about, some new ways of doing things. but also a lot of tried and true methods used to build really good expert research trees to help you. The second talk is a load of fun. It's all about becoming a genetic detective. If you want to be a DNA detective, this is what you need to sign up for. So we're going to go through how to solve all those unknown matches, the ones that don't have trees, the ones that don't answer messages, loads and loads of ways for you to go and find out information for you. The two cats with the detective hats make an appearance in that talk as well. It is really good fun, but loads to learn. And again, I'm pretty sure you're going to hear about things you haven't heard of before and some little tips and tricks that even you can progress one of your matches that don't have a tree or isn't answering your messages. That will be a win for me. It is booking now, so it's in conjunction with Family Tree magazine. So if you go to www.family-tree.co.uk, look for the how-to guides and then Donna Rutherford's Guide to Genetic Genealogy, and you can book from there. They're two-hour sessions. They're actually being hosted by the lovely Michelle Leonard, so that's really exciting. And I'll be talking for probably about an hour and a half. It will be hosted, of course, and we'll have Q&A afterwards run by Michelle, so it will be great. That's it. If you want to get in touch and let me know if you've got the base or how you're getting on with it, things that you've got questions of or things that you've found that I haven't covered, you can get in touch. That's my email address, ds.rutherford@gmail.com. I'm on Twitter at Donna SR. Of course, it's X now, but it's much easier to say I'm on Twitter rather than I'm on X. I have a website with some blogs, donnarutherford.com, and I'm on YouTube. This talk will probably end up on YouTube. You can subscribe to my channel there. I'm hoping to get some more talks coming soon, and I'm hoping, quite excitingly, to start doing some streaming as well, where you'll be able to come and join me live, and we can have a general chit-chat about genetic genealogy. So subscribe to my YouTube channel to find out more about that. And of course, my Facebook group that I've referred to many times during this talk, a fantastic group. We're over 15,000 now. Absolutely fantastic members there with so much knowledge, really helpful for all sorts of questions. No question is a silly question in my group. You'll get it answered. I've got some fantastic mods. Some of you may know Mandy Geary. She's one of my fantastic mods there as well. So she's always helping look after the group. That's it. I hope this has been helpful. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye for now.